What's up, guys? This is Limitz bringing you guys another Halo Wars 2v2 video. I know it's been a while, so we're going to kick it off with the Great White Series here. This game is going to be against Kihz and Swat Merk. I am playing with Elysium. This is a Cutter Brute versus Anders Arby. I think the leader advantage here is kind of a coin toss, simply because Anders dominates a Cutter on this map and a Brute dominates an Arbiter on this map. So kind of is going to depend on who gets a bigger lead on their counterpart in this game. There are a lot of errors in this game, so it's going to make this game a little bit more wild or crazy than it should have been. Basically, I'm going to be staying on a single base as the Arbiter, and I'm going to do the standard Arbiter defense. As you can see, they have two white boxes. That means they either both double based or one double based, or they could have faked it. The Cutter's always going to double base in this situation. The surprise would be if a Brute double based in this situation, which I'm actually pondering, because if a Brute does double base on Crevice in this matchup, if the Arbiter stays on a single base, it's pretty much game over, because the Brute's just going to steamroll. So anyways, I need to get around to scouting the Brute out, make sure he stayed on one base and is going to do the standard Temple first build on this map. And it looks like he is. Ellie did want me to double base on this map, and I kind of laughed about that, because yeah, it's not going to work. You can't double base against a Brute on this map if you are Arbiter, Prophet, or another Brute. It just won't work. So to my surprise here, as I'm collecting these crates, I'm going to see that the Chieftain rolls up from the opposite side I am expecting him from. Typically, if you're a Brute, you want to just walk around by the reactor in this map placement, and he walked through the middle. So I don't know if that was his idea or if that was Kihz's idea, but I really wouldn't put it past either one of them to come up with that retarded idea. So I'm just going to take it for what it is and continue to play defense here. And if anybody would be kind enough to tell me why Kihz has both of his hogs sitting in front of Ellie's secondary, which he's not building a barracks on, I'd much appreciate it. I really have no idea why he decided to put his hogs right there, and making me rage them did absolutely nothing, didn't hurt my eco or anything, especially since the Brute didn't even attack my base. So now Swat Merk is going to decide to try his luck once again at my base. And if you're paying attention to the mini-map, you'll notice one of the big issues this game is that Ellie doesn't really go full hook control with his hogs. He's kind of a little bit conservative with his warthogs. So Kihz is actually going to be successful at getting some of the middle reactors, whereas Ellie's only going to be able to get the middle reactor, one of them, for like a split second, and he has like the side reactor. So he will be able to get his Gauss queued up, but Kihz is able to get his techs for his tanks, which is not very good for us. So anyways, I tried to grunt his Chieftain. He started walking right when I ported through, which is always bad for me, good for a Brute. But this time I'm going to successfully trap him within my grunts here, and I really think grunts are overpowered for this reason. You land a grunt into a Chieftain, you pretty much hold the rush. So I took care of Swat Merk. Swat Merk didn't accomplish nothing. And so right now it looks like the Arbiter is outplaying the Brute, and the Cutter to an extent is outplaying our Anders. And when I say the Cutter and Kihz is actually outplaying Elysium at this part, I'm only saying that strictly because a good Anders on Crevice with a lot of experience is going to prevent the Cutter from getting pretty much all the hooks. And it's really hard for a Cutter to get his tech that he needs for this map. But Ellie is a great threes player, and he doesn't have the most experience in 2v2, so he just really does a great Goss build, but kind of neglects the aspect of keeping a cutter out of the hooks. And as you can see right here, it looks like the game's over. He has Goss teching, I have an Arbiter, and I can just rage down tanks. I can go all Arby at this point and rage while we just spam Goss. Now what's going to actually happen, I'm not going to tell you. So in the next 5 minutes you'll see how a lot of things unfold. I guess I wasn't really paying attention, and neither was Ellie to an extent. But there's a lot of things I could have done better myself this game. As you can see, I'm planning on going all Arbiter. What ends up happening here, as if you're paying attention to the minimap still, Elysium never triple based, and as Anders with Goss, you should always triple base on this map right away. And I think he thought he triple based, but he didn't, and then he later realized it, but since he had to click me for raging the tanks, he kind of shot his eco away right away. So we're only 2-base spamming Goss, and Kihz already has canister shell because we neglected keeping him out of hooks. And I'm going to get insta-cannied right there. And since I was planning on going all Arbiter, those 2 tanks are going to save that base, and Swat Merk's going to have his summits up. And everything that we were in position to do completely backfires. And right here I'm staring at my blessed pad. I have 3 non-blessed pads, but for some reason I decided to destroy the blessed pad. So that's a huge mistake. I don't know if like I was having a moment where my mind was just blank, but I clicked that pad like multiple times and must have misread it because I thought it was blessed, didn't think it was blessed, and whatever, just destroyed it. So we are in a little bit of a jam here, simply because we let them get canny and quite a few tank numbers, and we did not stop the summits. Even though Goss does counter Banshees, and the Arbiter can basically counter Banshees, what Banshees do is they dictate where my Arbiter has to be, or where the Hogs have to be, once he gets a bunch of numbers up, and then that freely lets the tanks be able to move around the map. But I quickly bounced back here. I was pretty prepared for this. I already had Tech 2 from the reactor with my Suicide Grunt, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot into vampires. But that's not really what you want to do against tanks. If the other team has tanks, you always want to go Banshee Goss, and if you're building vampires, it's kind of a losing situation. You really have to bank on your Arbiter being able to rage pretty much everything that the Goss can't kill, which would be in this scenario a whole clusterfuck of tanks. So I am going to be able to keep him away from my base. I will get my vampire numbers up. As you can see, Kihz has full reactor control, except for the side by Elysium's base and Kihz, that shared reactor in the corner. You can see that Kihz is getting power turret right now. Ellie is going to do a great job here of putting an end to that, and Kihz is going to miss that Mac pretty badly. So that's actually pretty good that we are able to stop the power turret. If he gets power turret, we're in a world of hurt, but since he's not able to get power turret, we do have kind of a good fight going. I do spot that brute up in that top right corner that I saw when I flew my vampires over, and I'm just checking out the reactors to see where everybody's at, and I'm gonna flare that for Elysium because we need to kill that. If Swat Merk gets in one of those reactors and is able to pump vampires, then we're pretty much gonna lose the game because I can't do anything with my air. And one other mistake this game, if you guys are probably already wondering, why am I not going Banshees? Because he doesn't have any vampires, and he doesn't have the ability to build vampires. And if I just go Banshees right now, I just needed to pump like 2 or 3 vampires to make him think that I was just going vampires. I could have easily transitioned into Banshees this game, but I choose not to for some reason, for the longest time. And I really could have gotten a whole bunch of Banshees out a lot sooner this game. So I'm going to help out with the hook control since the hogs cannot go in there. Since there's tanks, I had to snipe the reactor out. I'm going to work on teching my Arbiter still. And Ellie is going to prevent Kihz from getting their side split shared reactor. Now we see that the tanks are in the middle and most likely going to be pushing. So this is when we're going to counter push. And in this situation, I'm pretty sure Kihz is full pop, if not damn near full pop. So you can see right there, I only got a quick glimpse. It looked about 7 or 8 tanks. And if he has anything in any hook, that's going to cut down on his population as well. So he's pretty much full pop. This is where I'm going to start transitioning into the Banshees. And I'm pretty much just going to hover all my units with Elysium. Kihz is actually going to take out 2 of Elysium's bases here, and then we don't know where he's at, but we're going to finish off his base really quickly. Notice that Swat Merk has a vampire right there. And so far it's looking like a base trade. And Elysium has taken out Kihz's main. Kihz has taken out 2 of our expos. And with how long it's taken Kihz to push his tanks around the map, we notice that he's not going to continue pushing on Elysium. In fact, he's actually going to try and play defense here, which is another mistake. He most likely would have been better off just taking out Elysium's main base and crushing his economy completely, or at least splitting his tanks. So what's going to end up happening here is we are able to do quite a significant amount of damage over here on Kihz's secondary and take that out, and it gives Elysium enough time to get his hogs completely out and not caught by any of the tanks. And my vampires were being really unresponsive. I guess I was clicking too quickly, but I thought I told him to go over there and kill those vampires for the longest time. But Elysium's actually going to end up losing that base, so I no longer care about trying to save it. And this is where I'm going to go all in on one of Swat Merk's bases, his secondary, and Elysium's going to go ahead and hit the main base. And Kihz actually gets a pretty good mac off right there, kills majority of my Banshees. And since I have a lot of vampires, that's really not going to do me any good against tanks. And I see that he has tanks from the back end of his base, so I'm going to have to get ready to rage here. And I quickly put a stasis over on Swat Merk before I got into rage mode. If you play Arbiter, that's something you got to get used to, is being able to quickly move your air units and then go into rage mode and whatnot. And basically right here, I'm just gonna get out of there and keep my Arbiter alive. It bought Elysium enough time to completely take out Swat Merk. And I'm going to go ahead and let Elysium heal me. I flare where I'm at on the map. And there's no point in me shielding right here. I can either just throw up another summit and continue to pump Banshees, or I can throw up a supply pad so I can rage a little bit better with an eco. And I'm going to go ahead and do the raging option. As you can see, pretty much Swat Merk's eliminated. I have the air war, and he lost his main base. He's not going to be able to pump anything off that secondary. And so I flare over on the left side of the minimap, and you can see that Kihz is pushing. So we are going to go ahead and start countering. And I'm going to instead of getting a shield, I'm going to go with the turret route. I probably should turret with how many canny tanks he has, but for some reason I'm really reluctant to ever shield in a game. I hate shielding. So I'm going to go ahead and recall here and pretty much try and catch Kihz's tanks before they get to my base. And I go into this with high hopes as Ellie clicks me. You can see he's got like 4 tanks right there that are half health and 2 are red bar. I'm going to get one there, and bouncing around I somehow get trapped in here. And bam. So I'm dead. Kihz gets another moral victory. But this was a very sloppy game from both teams. And I will have a few more videos coming up later this week, maybe next week. I'm kind of working on intros right now, so look for that, guys, and see ya.
All units, your team is victorious.